The last normal moment of my life was exactly 2:41 p.m. on a Thursday when I found a single eyelash stuck to the inside of her passenger door. It wasn't hers, and I knew it. Part 1. You ever feel the floor shift underneath you, but you're still standing in the same spot? That's what it felt like. One stupid eyelash. Not blonde like hers. Not from me. And not the kind that just randomly floats into a car. No, this was intentional. This was transported. She told me she was at the spa with her coworker Mila. I even saw the relaxing boomerang on her story. Champagne, cucumber slices, bad lighting. But the spa is north. Her GPS history showed her car parked downtown for over 4 hours. That's near the dance studio. His dance studio. When I asked her about it, she didn't flinch. She didn't even blink. Oh my God, are you stalking me now? Just like that. Instant flip. You're so obsessed, it's honestly sad, she said, walking away like she'd won a debate on a game show. I told her I didn't like how often she mentioned Rinrik lately. Yes, that's his actual name. Rinrik. I mean, who names their kid Rinrik? Is that even a name? She laughed in my face. Said I was being jealous again. You need to get over your paranoia, she said, still scrolling Instagram while she said it. Like I wasn't even worth a full glance. But here's the thing. I wasn't paranoid. I was awake. Rinrik was popping up in every part of our life, even the background noise. She started playing new music at night, music I didn't recognize, and when I asked where she'd heard it, she said, "Oh, Rinrik shared it with me. It's our playlist." Our playlist? I started keeping notes. Not because I wanted to, because I had to. Spa trips that didn't match card charges. Hair appointments that didn't line up with her actual hair. Silent car rides home where she smiled at her phone like someone was texting her poetry and she was pretending it was just memes. She made me feel like I was losing it, like I was controlling, like I was broken. But I wasn't. I was finally seeing her without the love goggles on. So I stopped talking. I stopped arguing. And I started planning. I found a woman online named Lorna. She runs a private security firm, does investigation on the side. Ex-intelligence background, low profile, no social media. We spoke for 7 minutes. That's all it took. She said, give me her car details, work schedule, and 5 days. I did. I don't know what Lorna will find. But I already know one thing. If I'm wrong, I'll apologize. But if I'm right, she's going to regret treating me like I'm crazy. Lorna didn't ask me why I was doing this. She didn't ask if I loved my wife or if I was sure. She just said, don't expect fireworks. Expect answers. I didn't sleep much during those 5 days. I'd lie next to Alora at night while she slept like she had no sins. Her breathing was calm, even, peaceful. Meanwhile, I was memorizing every little shift in her tone, every new perfume scent, every mention of a place she hadn't visited in weeks. My mind wouldn't shut off. One night, I caught myself checking her phone screen in the reflection of her glasses while she scrolled through texts. I hated that version of me, the lurking, bitter one. But I hated the version of her even more, the one who made me become this. The 4th day, Alora came home late again. She claimed it was a networking mixer. I nodded and handed her the salad I made. She didn't eat it. She said she was bloated. Then she locked herself in the bathroom for 40 minutes. I heard soft giggling from behind the door. It wasn't laughter you share with coworkers. It was the kind you whisper on hotel bedsheets. I almost walked out right then, but I didn't. Because that morning, Lorna had texted me. I have what you need. You ready? I wasn't. But I told her yes. We met at a greasy diner off the freeway. She slid into the booth like she'd done this 100 times. Her tablet was already open. She didn't say hello. She just said, Thursday night. Downtown. 2 blocks from the studio. Her car was there from 6:02 to 10:48 p.m. Here's who she was with. She tapped the screen. There she was, Alora, in a gray trench coat I didn't recognize, holding 2 takeout bags and smiling. Not at a camera. At a man. And not just a man. Him. Rinrik. They weren't touching in the photo. But they didn't have to. His face was way too close to hers. His keys were in her hand. Her heel was off. The kind of photo that says more than any kiss ever could. Then came another image. Them, getting into an elevator. No signs, no logos. Just chrome walls and the glow of ceiling lights. Her head tilted back, laughing at something he said. I couldn't even hate the guy in that moment. All I felt was heat in my neck and a dizzy fog around my head. The kind that says, you were never paranoid. You were patient. I asked Lorna if she had more. She nodded, but said, "What's your plan? You want more proof, or do you want closure?" That hit me hard, because I didn't know. Did I want her to beg? To confess? To lie again so I could throw the photos on the table and watch her squirm? Or did I want to quietly disappear, take everything I could with me, and leave her to explain herself to the mirror? I didn't answer Lorna. I just asked her to email me everything. I needed time. I needed strategy. That night, I went home, poured us 2 glasses of wine, and waited. Because tomorrow, I'd start acting like everything was fine. And that's how I'd ruin her, with silence. The next morning, I made her breakfast. Poached eggs, sourdough toast, a tiny little pile of blueberries the way she used to like it before she forgot things like that mattered. She blinked at the plate, almost confused. "What's this for?" she asked. I just shrugged. Just felt like it. I watched her carefully. She didn't eat the eggs. She took 2 bites of toast. She thanked me, kissed me on the forehead, and said she was heading out early, team planning meeting. I smiled like a man with no clue. But inside, I was ticking like a clock with broken hands. The thing is, I had already confirmed there was no meeting. Her company's internal Slack channels were public on my browser because she once logged in from my computer and never logged out. Rookie mistake. I knew the meeting had been pushed to Friday, but she still left, dressed too nice, too excited, like she was walking into a rom-com scene with a soundtrack only she could hear. I didn't follow her. That would have been too easy, too obvious. I did something better. I called my bank. I had access to every joint account, including the shared card she almost never used. But recently, she'd started charging just enough on it to stay under the radar. Boutique parking garages, rooftop cafes. One flower delivery she claimed was for a work friend's birthday. Only I checked, and that woman had been on maternity leave for 2 months. I marked every charge, created a route, used it to build a timeline. Lorna was impressed. She texted, "You missed your calling, detective." But this wasn't a game to me. This was everything. Later that day, Elora came home with wet hair and no explanation for the delay. She said traffic. I said nothing. She changed in the hallway instead of the bedroom, like I wouldn't notice the faint scent of someone else's cologne clinging to her scarf. Not strong, but unfamiliar. Sharper. And the worst part? She didn't even try to hide it anymore. That was the real betrayal, the laziness of her lies. So I turned on the charm. I asked her about her day. I rubbed her shoulders. I offered to pick up groceries. She looked wary, like she couldn't tell if I was back to normal or planning something. Good. Let her wonder. Because I wasn't the only one playing a game anymore. The next day, while she was out, I did what no loyal husband should ever do. I opened her laptop. She always left it logged in. It was stupidly easy. Emails, chats, calendar invites. And then I found it. A draft. Not sent yet. Titled, "Sometime Soon." It was a breakup letter. Not to me. To him. Renrick, I don't know how to keep lying. I feel sick when I come home. I feel like he knows. Sometimes I want to confess just to end the spiral. But I'm scared. Scared he'll hate me. Scared I'll lose everything. But I also feel like I already have. I'll tell you when I find the courage. She wrote it 3 days ago. She still hadn't sent it. I didn't feel victorious. I felt something worse, like I was standing outside my own house in the rain, watching someone else's life through the windows. Like nothing here belonged to me anymore. Not the couch, not the air, not even her guilt. I copied the message, took screenshots, emailed it to myself. Then I closed the laptop, placed it back perfectly, smoothed the charger cable like nothing ever happened. And when she came home that night and kissed me on the cheek, I smiled. Because now I knew she was drowning in the secret, and I was going to let her. It's strange how quiet everything gets when you stop begging for the truth. When you stop asking, stop accusing, stop reacting. She thought silence meant I was healing, letting it go, forgiving what hadn't been admitted. But really, I was collecting, calculating, setting the pieces down exactly where I needed them, while she kept playing checkers on a chessboard. 3 nights later, I made my move. She came home from yoga, hair damp again, cheeks flushed. There was no mat, no gym bag, just that smirk she wore when she thought I was still clueless. I handed her a glass of wine, watched her sip it, and casually said, "I think we should plan a weekend away. Just you and me. Maybe Lake Verona?" She nearly choked. Her hand trembled a little before she set the glass down. "This weekend?" she asked, trying to sound normal. "Why not?" I smiled. "You've been stressed." We need to reconnect. She stared at me like she didn't know whether to feel guilt or panic. I could see it, the gears spinning in her head. She had plans, clearly. Probably another cozy weekend with Rinrik, the salsa savior. But she couldn't say no without looking suspicious. So she nodded, said, "Yeah, that sounds nice." Nice. The next morning, I made sure she saw me packing. I left my phone out, screen unlocked, booking a cabin by the lake. I knew she'd peek. I wanted her to. Let her feel the noose tightening, not from rage, but from my kindness. That's what messes with them most. When you pretend like you still don't know. When you make their betrayal feel small next to your affection. But here's the kicker. I never intended to go. While she was in the shower, I logged into her email again. I wasn't even surprised this time. I felt like a surgeon cutting open something rotten. And there it was, a freshly written email. Different from the draft. This one was ready to send. Rinrik, I think this weekend is our chance. I'll say I'm at the lake. I can meet you Friday night at the suite you mentioned. Please don't back out. I need to feel real again. No more hesitation. No guilt. Just coordination. I took a screenshot. Sent it to Lorna. And this time, I gave her a new instruction. Track where she goes Friday night. I want photos. Entry and exit. Lorna's reply was simple. You'll have it. I deleted the sent message. She never knew it left her inbox. I also forwarded it to myself from a dummy address, just in case I needed it later. Divorce lawyers like digital proof with timestamps. By Thursday, she was acting affectionate again, almost clingy. She kissed me before bed and laid her head on my chest like nothing in the world was wrong. I had to clench my jaw not to push her off. I just held her tight because I wanted her to feel safe, completely safe, right before the ground gave out. When Friday came, I drove her to the station myself. She said her friend Mallory was picking her up from there, and they'd carpool to the lake. I kissed her goodbye, took a deep breath, waved, watched her walk away. She didn't even turn around. And I knew, without a doubt, that I'd never see her the same way again. I didn't go home after I dropped her off. I parked in a grocery lot and just sat in the car, hands gripping the wheel like it was the only solid thing left in my life. My phone buzzed. One message. From Lorna. She was already in place, staking out the boutique hotel on Royal Street. She just walked in. Not alone. That was all she wrote. Short, brutal, clear. I felt my chest cave in for a second. Like confirmation had weight. Like truth could bruise. I didn't respond. I just stared at the screen. Then I opened my email and reread that message Alora had meant to send. The one she never knew I forwarded to myself. I need to feel real again. What the hell was I then? A ghost? A prop in her carefully curated life? Her stability blanket while she played out some fantasy with a man who still used hair product and wore shirts with buttons undone halfway? By 8:42 p.m., Lorna sent the first batch of photos. Elora, hair curled. Same trench coat from the earlier stakeout. Laughing, tilted toward him. Rinrik looked smug, like the kind of guy who asked waitresses their star sign and thought it was charming. They walked in through the side entrance, not the lobby. Like they'd done it before. Like this was routine. And maybe it was. That's the part that hurt worst. Not the affair itself, but the practice. The structure. The thought behind it. She planned her lies better than she planned our anniversary dinner last year. Lorna followed up with more. Photos from inside the bar attached to the hotel. Renrik's hand on her lower back. Her hand playing with her earring. Something she did when she wanted to look cute. I used to think that was just her being shy. Turns out it was calculated flirtation. At 9:14 p.m., they disappeared into the elevator. By 9:17, Lorna confirmed the room number. By 9:40, she was done for the night. Her message, Suite 806. She's staying the night. Do what you need to do. I stared at those words longer than I should have. Do what you need to do. It echoed in my head like permission. But here's the twist. I didn't blow up. I didn't race over there. I didn't storm the building with a hotel manager and a voice recorder like some amateur detective trying to catch a telenovela climax. No, I was past that. Instead, I opened a shared cloud account she didn't remember she'd set up with me years ago. It had auto backup on for her phone because she thought she needed redundancy in case of device failure. I scrolled through synced photos, notes, locations. And that's when I found it. A locked folder labeled Inspo. She never told me about it. I almost didn't open it. But curiosity? It's a hell of a thing. Inside, selfies. Not of her. Of him. Shirtless. Flexing. hotel mirror, gym bathroom. And then, my stomach dropped. Photos of her too. Lingerie, low lighting, bathroom counters. Things she never sent me. Not once. She always told me she wasn't that type. Said she hated her arms. Said she felt silly posing. But apparently, for him, she was everything. And just when I thought it couldn't get worse, a short video. 2 seconds long. Her voice, whispering, "Don't save this." Then a blur of skin and fabric. I backed out fast. I wanted to scream. I wanted to punch something. But all I did was sit there in silence while the world outside kept turning like nothing had shattered. That night, I didn't sleep. I didn't eat. I just made a list. A long, meticulous list of every password, every shared account, every legal document, every forgotten joint subscription. I even called my cousin Milo, a divorce attorney, and scheduled a discreet consult. Because now, it wasn't about catching her. It was about making sure when she finally confessed, it was already far too late. Saturday morning, she texted me at 8:03 a.m. "Service is spotty here. We'll call later. Love you." I stared at the word love like it was a joke. Like it belonged in some alternate timeline where she hadn't just spent the night wrapped in someone else's arms. The audacity of it made me laugh out loud. I actually laughed. Then I screenshot it, added it to the growing folder labeled Final Evidence, and closed the message without replying. She thought she was ahead. She thought she was in control. That was her biggest mistake. Because while she was busy playing emotional roulette in a boutique hotel suite, I was in our home office quietly locking down everything. I changed all shared passwords, bank, cloud, utilities. Set up two-factor authentication. Transferred my direct deposits to a separate account she didn't know existed. She was going to wake up one day and realize she was locked out of a life she thought she could use as backup. I even removed her as an authorized user on the car she drives, the one registered under my name. She'd never notice until she tried to take out insurance or make changes. But the best part? I didn't touch her cards. Let her keep using them. Let her rack up bills while she still felt safe. By noon, I'd also made copies of everything I needed. House deed, prenup, receipts, the PI reports, and most importantly, her little inspo folder from the cloud. It was now saved, dated, and organized in a private drive, along with the video she'd whispered, "Don't save this," about. I had everything. Now, I just needed the moment. The moment she walked through that door and looked me in the eye with her fake smile and tired lies. The moment she tried to hug me like a husband. The moment she thought she could get away with it all one more time. And when she did, I was going to smile back, because I already knew exactly how I'd end it. She came home Sunday evening, suitcase in hand, eyes tired, lips chapped. The kind of exhaustion you can't fake, but also can't explain without tripping over your own lies. I was in the kitchen when she walked in. I didn't look up right away. Just let her stand there in the doorway while I stirred something on the stove that didn't matter. "Hey," she said softly, like she was walking into a fragile moment. "How was your weekend?" I kept stirring. "Quiet." She walked up and kissed my cheek. I flinched, not enough to be obvious, just enough for her to wonder if she imagined it. She glanced at the table. 2 plates. Candles. Napkins folded in the shape she liked. Her eyes flickered with confusion, maybe even guilt. "You cooked?" I nodded. Felt like we should reconnect. That word again. Reconnect. Like the wires hadn't been violently cut days ago and buried under the weight of another man's sweat and laughter. She sat down carefully, the way someone does when they're not sure if a chair is stable. We made small talk. Or she did. I asked nothing. Offered nothing. Just smiled, nodded, listened. She said Mila got sick halfway through the trip. Spa had to cancel half the treatments. There was bad weather. Self-service was terrible. She looked directly at me when she said these things, like she was daring me to catch her. But I didn't take the bait. Not yet. I waited until the plates were cleared. Until she was curled up on the couch, wine in hand, blanket over her legs like it was any other Sunday. That's when I sat beside her and handed her a small envelope. Plain. Sealed. No name. She blinked. "What's this?" "Something I found while cleaning." She opened it slowly, expecting something innocent. Inside were 2 photos. One from the elevator camera at the hotel. The other from her cloud folder. The one where she's holding the phone low and whispering, "Don't save this." She froze. Completely. No blink. No twitch. Just absolute, perfect stillness. Then she looked at me. Her mouth opened, probably to lie. But I cut her off. You told him you'd leave me soon, that you just needed courage. Her lips parted. No sound. So I helped you out, I said. I filed this morning. Silence. I leaned in, lowered my voice. You won't get the house. It's in my name. The prenup is solid. And as of today, your name's off every account except your credit card, which, by the way, is maxed. Have fun explaining that to him. She blinked, finally. You were spying on me? I smiled. No, I was listening. And then I stood up, grabbed my keys, and left her sitting there with a blanket and a broken life. It's been 6 weeks. The house is quieter than I ever imagined it could be. I got rid of the couch we used to share, the one where she curled up every night like she hadn't shattered everything behind my back. I replaced it with something smaller, something mine. I repainted the guest room too, the one she used to call her office, but mostly used to take long calls with the door closed and music playing just loud enough to cover whispers. She moved out the day after the envelope. Didn't say much. No begging. No apology that felt real. Just packed quickly, left faster, and didn't even close the front door behind her. Like she knew she had nothing left to stand on. For a while, I kept expecting myself to fall apart. I braced for it. I thought I'd collapse from the weight of it all. The betrayal, the loneliness, the years I spent loving someone who had a backup plan the entire time. But weirdly, I didn't. I just kept going. One small decision at a time. I started walking more. Not just pacing like I used to do at night when I was spiraling. Real walks. No destination, no earbuds. Just silence. I signed up for cooking classes too. Turns out I'm actually good at it when I'm not trying to impress anyone. I even made sourdough last week. From scratch. Lorna, the PI, sent me a message a few days ago. How's the piece treating you? I didn't reply. But the answer's simple. It's treating me like someone who finally chose himself. And here's the best part. I didn't just walk away with self-respect. I walked away clean. No screaming. No revenge posts. No online drama. Just the truth, delivered quietly, like a mirror she couldn't avoid. That's the thing about people who lie. They expect a fight. They expect chaos. What they don't expect is silence, distance, and a life that moves on without them. Last I heard, she tried calling twice. I didn't answer. I don't need closure from someone who already showed me who they were. And as for Renrick, I hear he disappeared the moment she lost her safety net. Classic. I'm not angry anymore. I'm not sad. I'm not even bitter. I'm just me again. And that's more than enough. So, to anyone watching this, if your gut is screaming, don't silence it. And if someone makes you feel like you're too jealous for asking real questions, remember this. Honesty never hides. Only lies do. I didn't lose her. I lost the illusion. And honestly, I'm glad.